Now, bam, we're live. You missed the first bam, we're live. I forgot to pull myself up. Good morning. What a day. What a day. What a great way to start the day with Keith Barlow on, founder of Xenom. Pretty pumped. I just watched his interview with Pedro White on Coffee Pods and Wads. This guy's a CrossFitter through and through. I didn't know that. We got to lead with that. Don't you love a good origin story? Then after Keith, we will go to the floor at Wadapalooza. I will make some predictions for winners for today. And I can tell you that James Sprague, Lucy Campbell. And get the scoop from Jenny, Taylor, and Bryson, who are on the floor walking around the venue. And then at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today, we will see live Colton Mertens, founder of Hog Scrub, do 26.3. I know everyone wants to see that. That's going to be crazy. And then Saturday morning, $3,500 for Kill Taylor. It's a busy 24 hours. Good morning, Mr. Birchfield. And then I head off to Stockton, California for a quick 24 hours. I don't know how I'm going to juggle everything. Watch the kids fight in a big, monstrous jiu-jitsu tournament, and then come back and then try 26.3 myself. Good morning. Waiting for vendor info from Xenom. Xenom. I wonder exactly how you pronounce it. Xenom? Xenom. I like Xenom. Has a little florin flair to it. Mr. Guerrero. Good morning. Rambler. Always hi. Good to see you guys. Mr. Dennis. Or as you've been mistakenly called many times in your life, Denise. Denise Olari. Xerox. Yeah. Xenom. Xenom. Good morning, Rob the Robot. Good to see you. Interracial robot. White man, white dog, black woman, black dog. Very nice. Balance. Good morning, Mr. Dragon. Give us the tea on the media fighting at Waza. Oh boy. I think it's going to come out. I heard the whole thing was filmed. That's what I'm hearing. I heard the whole thing was filmed. It should be fun. Those things happen. People fight. Media's
Hi, Sivan.
Hey.
Hello.
Good to see you, brother.
Okay. How are you?
Great. I'm amazing. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. This is the first time I've ever been to Miami. So enjoying South Beach, enjoying the this is obviously like this stunning street with all the Art Deco hotels.
Yes, sir.
So I just stayed and looked around, and I was like, I want to stay like properly somewhere like in the scene. I did not think about how loud this street was, because obviously it's just like music and partying and everything. So last night was I'd been up for about 36 hours coming in. I tried to go to sleep here in this bedroom last night, and it was quite loud, but it's super cool. It's such a vibrant place.
Where did you come in from?
From London.
London. So, is that home for you?
Yeah. So we're in like southwest London, like near Hampton Court, which is one of the big palaces, and then we've got an office in Central, and then we're opening an office in New York as well.
Keith, are you born and raised in London?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I was born in Plymouth, which is like down in the south of England. But yeah, I'm British.
But are you city dweller? Are you born and raised in the city, or do you have some country roots also?
No, I'm so Plymouth, where I'm from, is like the southwest of England. So that would be like country, like out in the country, in nowhere. But I've lived in London for the last 10 years. So yeah, I'm thoroughly a city dweller.
Okay, so but as a kid, you know the other kind of life, because there's these people who are born in cities and they think that's the life. You know what I mean? Like,
I find it quite odd. London is such like a melting pot of places that it's almost quite odd when you meet someone in London who's from London, because everyone comes to London. I find very few people who actually have lived there their whole lives. So it's weird, because now we've got kids, we've got twins, we've got 2-year-old twins, and they're growing up in London, which is super interesting. I actually watch a lot of the 3 Playing Boys and everything. Of like, I think it's really cool, like how kids learn and how they have to learn by getting it wrong and then screaming and crying for a bit before their brain like remodels, and then they're like, oh, actually, that's not that hard. I can do this. Cool. Next thing.
And 2 years old is that age. You know, there's this phenomenon. I don't know if it's true, but it's how I explain what goes on with my kids. That a lot of us don't realize is we're not born with all of our emotions, and so like as you go through each age, like different emotions are introduced, and we forget that. And can you imagine being 2 and all of a sudden anger is introduced to you? Like it just develops in the brain, and you're like, "What is this?" And then so you just start trying to express it. And then later on, you know, there's ones that develop in people like maybe jealousy or excitement or greed or desire. And these things develop one at a time between, you know, I think until you're like 30, and then they start dying and you become numb like me.
you become old and mean.
It's just weird. Sometimes I'm like, God, I could cry at a love song when I was 12. Now it's like, man.
Well, it's really interesting if you've got twins. So we've got a boy and a girl. So that's like 2 different eggs, but came out at the same time, and obviously have had exactly the same inputs from us, exactly the same love, exactly the same food, exactly the same experience. But our boy Angus is probably like, we think like he's like 3 or 4 months further along like the emotional development path than the daughter Cece. And so like he's at this point learned like empathy, and she still hasn't. So he'll like share something with her. He'll be like, oh, Cece, I've got like your milk or your rabbit or whatever. And then her reciprocation is like, I will take this and this is mine and you're not allowed to touch it. So it's really interesting to watch, as they grow, and you have this kind of like this direct test case of like boys versus girls, and they are complete opposite creatures.
I remember watching when my oldest son, Avi, was 7, watching a 4-year-old girl talk circles around him. Just because they're girls, and it would be all the girls, because girls' vocabulary seemed to develop so fast. And I'd be like, oh my God, this is wild.
Oh, well, the vocabulary they're learning at the moment is no. So that's firmly the stage where they're at. Or like, no, they're just now getting to like little sentences, which is super cool because they're starting to become people. They're starting to like have their own opinions and emotions and stuff. So we went skiing last week, so they went on a plane, so they won't stop talking about planes now.
Oh yeah, the reason why I brought up the thing about being in the city versus having some country roots is I love the way you were describing CrossFit. And about the we're jumping way ahead in the interview, but how it offers people bodily autonomy, and that's how you worded it. And that was very interesting to me that you said that, because we have 2 different kinds of people in society. We have people who know that they can, and we have people who know that they can't. I mean, if I've just a big sweeping generalization, and the people who are in the I can't, they can't even imagine what it's like to be I can. And CrossFit's one of those. Go ahead.
I think that's really interesting, because you have people who are either I can or I can't, but whatever they think is right. Like if you think I can, then you're right. And if you think I can't, then you're also right, because you determine like what that option is for yourself. And when I was younger, I would have been an I can't person.
Same here.
And literally, someone one day said to me, you get to choose if you live in like a world of abundance and opportunity and possibility, or a world of negativity, and where the world is hard and it's mean and everything's against you. And whatever you decide, that's correct. It's really interesting. Yeah.
There's this Taoist saying, argue your limitations and they're yours. You know what I mean? Argue your limitations and they're yours. You can have them. I see it, and in without, you know, this isn't a political show, but the people who our society is almost split into people who feel like they need something done for them, as opposed to, hey, I can go out and do this myself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I that's from the earliest start, that's what CrossFit gave me. It kind of woke me up to like, wow, I can do this. And it spread like a disease in my life. To like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And so just being able to climb over a fence, or not be afraid to walk your dog, or know that if you're walking down slippery stairs, if you fall, you're going to be fine, or you have the dexterity to catch yourself. This changes the whole landscape of planet Earth for us.
No,
And then
absolutely.
it's a monumental mind shift.
And I think that, like, the concept of physical autonomy, the concept that you have autonomy over your physical self, is like something that's become so removed from like modern society. If you there are millions and millions and millions of people who exist without this direct relationship with their physical self and their physical capacity, and they don't even realize that that is like a permanent state of fear of death. Because if you don't have physical autonomy at like a subconscious low level, you are scared of dying. Like, you're scared of like the physical danger of life. And when you flip that script, and when you start doing constantly varied functional movements performed at relatively high intensity, and you develop broad work capacity across time and modal domains, that's the game changer. That is the prescription. And we talk about health, and we talk about longevity, and the whole world is talking about it. But just that mental switch of, I am okay. Like, I am physically within the realm of my physical being. I'm fine. It's a game changer. But it was for me.
Yeah, when you know that you have control over yourself, your mental health skyrockets.
100%. 100%.
Skyrockets when you don't feel like you're at the whim of the world outside of you.
Yeah, yeah. And at like a really basic level.
Very basic,
like, I need to run this 5 miles to get away from the bad thing. Okay, cool. I can do that. I'm going to live. Sweet. The world looks sunny. Yeah.
Can you tell me your CrossFit origin story? I have to tell you, what hearing you talk on Pedro's podcast, Coffee Pods and Wads, your origin with CrossFit, obviously it made me feel much better about Xenom. Am I pronouncing it right? Xenom?
Yeah, Xenom. Yeah.
Yeah, it made me feel much better. You know what I mean? Much better. Yeah. So could you tell us your origin story with CrossFit?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do the quick one. So my background, I went to university. I studied sports science at university. I went and I was a strength and conditioning coach for a couple of years in the NRL, which is the National Rugby League over in Australia, working with like youth athletes for a team called the Newcastle Knights. I did that for 3 years. Came back to the UK. Kind of fell out of love with that, and I played rugby to a decent standard when I was younger, but I was a prop. So a prop is like the big chunky guy at the front of a scrum, not necessarily the healthiest. Like, you can play to a super high level and still be pretty overweight and not necessarily have all of the fitness that you want to have.
What's the most you ever weighed?
I weighed 123 kilos at one point, which would be like 250 pounds plus. Like,
wow.
That's a big bopper. Dude. Yeah. And strong and good at sport, but definitely not healthy. But I came back from Australia. I'd fallen out then of love of what I was doing, and from strength and conditioning, and from that whole world, because even though I had a degree in sports science and I was working in professional sport, I didn't necessarily feel like I was a fit, strong, that wasn't who I was. So I came back to the UK. I did a few different things, but I worked in investment for a while. So I worked for a private family office over here, for a Middle Eastern family office that invested into, if you work for a family office, you kind of invest into a bit of everything. Did that for 6 years. And then my wife, Kate, who I think you've met before, she similarly had a different background. So she worked in private banking. But she launched Fittest, which is the agency that we've run for the last 5 years together, which was a PR and creative agency specifically targeted at brands within kind of human performance, and very much at the start was CrossFit. So we did a lot of the early work of I think we've had 5 different CrossFit athletes on the covers of magazines over the last few years, and we've done a lot of the work on really kind of pushing, I would say, CrossFit and the methodology generally into the mainstream. So she came home from work one day and was like, I've started this agency, it's going really well. I met these guys called Hyrox. I think it's going to be a really cool client. Why don't you quit your job and why don't we do this together? So then we spent the last 5 years doing that. At the same time, CrossFit has just been, and fitness for the last certainly decade has been an integral part of that. So I met my wife in a CrossFit gym. I can coincide, like I met her at CrossFit Wandsworth. She was way out of my league. And I was like, okay, I better actually get fit here. So then I spent a while getting into really good shape. I got to a point where I was very naively like, okay, this is it. I'm going to be a CrossFitter. I'm going to really go for this. I got one decent open score in one workout. But I got myself really fit, convinced Kate to marry me, and then kind of stepped the pedal off a little bit. But at the same time, CrossFit is, and fitness and this concept of physical autonomy has just been a core part of my life ever since. And I can map really clearly the trajectory of my life and see at the point at which, when I started to develop this broad work capacity across time and middle domains, where everything else on the spectrum kind of went up for me as well. Mental health and relationship and wife and kids and business. So yeah, we spent the last 5 years then building Fittest into, I would say, 100% the best agency in the world in that space. We met the guys from Hyrox very early on. They had their concept. It was just coming out of COVID. At the time, still relatively small, hadn't launched in the UK.
Where did they launch? Where was Hyrox launched?
It launched in Germany. So it launched in Germany in 2018 or 2019 with but these were small races. There were 600 people turning up. And it was this incredible concept, and the events themselves were stunning. But the narrative we needed to get right. So fitness racing, the concept of this new genus of event, needed to be carved out. And it's funny because at the time, CrossFit was so big, the only thing anyone ever wanted to talk about CrossFit was CrossFit. So when we were very early on, and I remember talking to you about it many years ago, and we met in person. No, we did. We tried to get you to come to the first Hyrox World Championships in Vegas.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, by the way. Thank you for that.
No worries. It's funny because it was at that time we were trying to convince everyone, hey, this thing's really cool and it's going to be massive and it's not CrossFit. And everyone was saying, oh, but we were having this constant kind of fight to break it out into its own thing. And then over the course of those 5 years, that's gone from obviously a very small event to a very big event. They'll have 1.8 million people doing it this year.
Wow.
But 1.8, maybe 2. So our agency is still their agency, but I've stepped away from the agency now because about 9 months ago, I was looking at the space. I was looking at what was happening in the ecosystem of CrossFit and more broadly out into functional fitness. And I was thinking, everyone's taken the wrong lesson here. Like everyone's taken this lesson from Hyrox, which is fitness races are cool. So we should try and figure out how to make a fitness race that people in our space are going to want to go and do. And that means that we're going to add a bit of strength into it, or we're going to pretend that it's a bit more CrossFit-y. And I looked at it and thought the lesson that we should have learned from what they did so well was that big, landmark, stunning events taking place in the world's best venues are things that people want to do, that competition is a core part of the genealogy, of the DNA of the people who are in our space. Because everyone in our space competes basically every day. Like they go in at 6 o'clock in the morning and do 7 minutes of burpees and go like hell for leather to try and beat Mike, who's stood next to them in the gym. Like hell. Like that, if you tell me that person's not a competitor, then I'll call you a liar. So, and the lesson that I think that we should learn is not, oh, let's copy their format. It's, let's figure out how to do this at scale. Let's do it really professionally. Let's bring the best people in the world on board to do it. And let's do it in a format and a structure that creates a competition which the global community can enjoy. Because we have all of these incredible events. So we have Wadapalooza. I'm at Wadapalooza now. Amazing, stunning event. We have Strength and Depth over in the UK. You have Down Under Championships. You have all of these amazing events, but they are generally predominantly focused, obviously, on the elite athletes, and they're not connected in the way that there's no real connection between who wins Wadapalooza and who wins Strength and Depth and who wins the Down Under Championship. So if we can create this format which does some things differently, it takes away the unknown and the unknowable, which I know is a sacred tenet of the CrossFit space, but is not a sacred tenet of any other sport in the world ever. And we can create this fixed format. And what we learned from Hyrox was what you want to do with a sporting system is you want to show people a score that shows them how they performed, lets them compare themselves to other people, lets them compare themselves to their friends, and then shows them how they progress. And in every great mass participation, large global sport, you have that. In a marathon, it's a sub 3 hour marathon time. In a Hyrox, it's sub 60 minutes. In a 400 meters, in whatever you say, there will be a score that you can immediately be like, oh, that means you're good at that. And if you have that, then you give this global community of millions of people a thing that they can compare and contrast themselves to, which at the moment only really exists in the form of the Open. And the Open is an incredible community event, unbelievable, but there isn't an event in the sense that we have now come to understand them over the last kind of 5 to 7 years. So if we can put all of that together, then we create something that's really exciting. And when we were thinking about it, we basically thought there are 3 things that we need to do. If we want to go and build something in this space, then there are 3 things we need to do. We need to make it good for the individual, and the individual being the CrossFit athlete, which I think is probably the most unloved person in the world right now. Just in the sense of everyone's getting something. Everyone is getting a Hyrox, or they're getting Tokyo Marathon, which has got record participation again, or whatever it is. No one has been thinking, okay, how do I really build for this CrossFit athlete with this uniquely incredible broad adaptive fitness? But no one's building a test that really reflects that. So we have to make it good for the individual. We have to make the event stunning. We have to make it so much fun. We have to make it a genuine test. We have to make it comparable and standardized. Then we thought, we've got to do something that's good for the affiliates. So I spoke to a lot of affiliate owners over the course of the last 9 months. And I basically carried on hearing these 2 pieces of feedback that carried on coming through. One was people saying, the best thing that's happened to me in the last few years has been Hyrox, because I got 50 new members that never would have come and done CrossFit, but they've come in and they're loving it. But then they're also saying, my problem is Hyrox, because the way that the individual in the space is now achieving their personal fame, their personal status, is via their score, via their results in a Hyrox. And so they're not coming into the gym and saying, how do I get to my 140 kilo clean, and how do I get 10 unbroken muscle ups? They're saying, I want to do more conditioning, because that's where I'm going to get my personal satisfaction. So for the affiliates, it was like, well, we have to design a competition, and the best way of training for that competition has to be go into a local affiliate and do constantly varied functional movements, including the hard stuff at high intensity. So just because the test is fixed and known, that doesn't mean that the best way of training for the test is, I can tell it, I'm not the best coach in the world, but I can tell anyone listening to this, the best way of getting ready for a Xenom is not doing the 10 events of Xenom over and over again, in the same way that it's not doing, if you want to get fast at 100 meters, you shouldn't just run 100 meters fast. Like the test remains the same, but the training remains exactly the same as it always has been. And then the last bit was it has to be good for the ecosystem. So I think, shock to no one, it's been a pretty tumultuous time in our space for the last few years. And I thought, if I come in with, obviously we have great partners in this. So we have Rogue on board, we have Wonderco who invested into it, and no one really needs an introduction to Rogue. Bill and Katie have built the best business in our space, and they are incredible people, and they have been incredible partners in getting behind this. And then on the Wonderco side, we raised a decent chunk of money from them with Jeff, who was the founder of DreamWorks Animations and then was the chairman and CEO at Disney, that really bought into the vision of the opportunity to turn and fitness into this global sport. And I thought, if I came in with those people behind me and I said, hey, I'm launching an elite competition for the 20 best males and the 20 best females, I thought that would be really bad for the space. I think those people have more than enough options in the traditional sporting format that exists. So we have to go and build in the white space. And the white space for me was, okay, these mass participation competitions, because they're ruinously expensive to run. They only work at scale, and you have to really have a long-term vision to say, okay, I'm going to go and do lots and lots of these events, and then the business is going to work well. So I basically thought, if I can do those three things, make it good for the individual, good for the affiliate, good for the ecosystem. And in the ecosystem, that meant I'm not stepping on anyone's toes. I'm creating something that brands and sponsors get really excited about. I'm creating something that brings energy back into the environment. Then hopefully that's something that people are going to get behind. And we really think so we go live with tickets in about 4 hours. So we've launched.
Wow.
Yeah. Today's a big day.
Wow.
So we did a ballot. So we gave away 250 of the first tickets. So they're $500 as early bird pricing. So we're giving away 250 of those. Pretty big giveaway. And the response since we launched has been pretty incredible. We've had thousands of people apply for those tickets. Like people want in on this. And I think you'll always get, whenever you launch anything in CrossFit, you'll always have people say, that piece of programming is bad. You should have done this. You should have done that. Fine. Completely understood. And you know that that's going to come. But the number of messages that I have received either on our Instagram or personally to me from people saying like, hey, I used to love competing in CrossFit. It used to be my thing. And I've not had that for the last few years. I'm super excited about this. It has been super cool to see. And I think that it kind of proves, we obviously have come in with a basic concept that there is a latent demand for really good competition for everyday people, which is like a CrossFit Games level experience. And we'll see what happens in 4 hours. But based on what we've had so far, I think people want it. I think it is something that people really want to be able to do. I think competition is good for everyone. And it's cool, like, we take them to the best places in the world, and we talk about Jim, who I'm fighting at burpees in the class. And you think about, like, for lots of us, we do this incredible thing. We know how incredible it is. We know how transformative this training and competition is. But when we try to explain it to our friends or something, it's kind of difficult to understand. To then be able to give people this opportunity to say, come to the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, and then wife, kids, friends, come and watch me do my thing on the biggest stage. Like, that's an amazing thing to be able to give people. Yeah. Okay, I think that's probably the longest monologue that you've had on your show before. So
I believe this is the quietest Sevon has been in years.
Okay, there we go.
He looks bored. Listen, he's been up for 36 hours. He's in Miami. Cut him some slack. So let me. By the way, is your microphones here on your sweatshirt?
Yeah. Is that working?
Yeah, it's working. someone was saying they thought you were playing with something in your hands because we're getting a little rubbing. It's not bad at
Oh,
all.
sorry.
But I just wanted people to know you're not. It sounded like you were playing with like a fidgeter or something. He is not.
I'm not. My hands are here.
You know what I'm hearing is that you are building something. You know this World Fitness Project launch, and it was for the athletes by the athletes. And the big red flag there for me was, oh boy, the way capitalism works is you bring something to market that other people want, and then if people want it, you know what I mean. Like say if we're all sitting around a table and I'm like, hey, look, I have a cigarette lighter, and everyone's like, oh wow, this guy has the power of fire. So I have a lot of power at that table, right? Because I can sell that, and probably a lot of people want to be able to build fire. And I feel like that's how free markets work. You bring something to the table that people want. And what's really risky about building something for the athletes by the athletes is that's missing the consumer, right? And there's and that's how a lot of these events are. We're going there to watch the athletes. What I'm hearing what you're building is something for the participants. Like, hey, this is a participatory sport. This is not so much a viewing sport. Like that's not that people can't go there. It's going to be in beautiful venues and view it. But the same with Hyrox and same with the marathon. No one's going to watch the marathon. No one, you know what I mean? And the people who go to the Hyrox, it's a monster community event. They have all the different categories and it's a participatory sport. And you're sort of leaning into that based on what the people inside of affiliates would want. So people inside of affiliates want clean drinking water, and maybe they want more events to express their fitness at. Am I hearing this right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great way of putting it. Yeah, people want. I don't know the business model of any of the other sports in the space.
Right.
I know from my experience with Hyrox that just building something on elite sport is really hard. Like you have to be really, really good at that. It's a tough thing to crack. We still have an elite sport side of what we do. So if you want to take part in this, you can take part in the compete category. And in the compete category, if you're training in a CrossFit gym, you'll be able to do it. Then you have RX, which is you're RXing the open, and then we have an elite category. And an elite category is you have to submit yourself. You have to meet a certain level of performance, and at that elite category, I'm sure that we'll get all of the best people will come and have a go. Because we don't also have a season structure in the sense of we don't have a world championship that you have to go and organize yourself for, that you have to go and peak for. We have 11 events across the course of this season. And if you want to come and take part in one and launch a score, great. But we're not forcing you down like a line, a specific date that you have to turn up at. But 99% of people that take part in this are, the community, like the people who want a test, that want to train for 3 or 6 months and get really, really fit and come and show the world what they can do. And that's for me, that's the most, I think it's the most undervalued asset in the world of fitness would be, I think there are still 4 million people in the world generally who are doing the methodology, who are practicing the prescription. They're not necessarily all in CrossFit gyms, but I think that's such an unbelievable number of people who are all fiercely dedicated to what we do and who all want the opportunity to express that fitness. So, they're the focus here.
Let me fall into the weeds here and ask you some questions. Will there be drug testing?
Yes. So we'll
Oh, there will.
subscribe. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we'll subscribe to WADA. We'll subscribe to WADA. We will. Everyone that takes part will sign a code of conduct. So if you take part in the event, you're opening yourself up to drug testing.
And is there prize money?
So we'll announce the full season structure in like 3 weeks' time.
3 weeks.
Where we'll come out with the rule book. We'll come out with the full season structure. Everyone will understand exactly how everything works. But I'll maybe clarify, because it's a question that's come up a few times about Masters. So Masters obviously is a very standard part of the CrossFit ecosystem, but you don't often have it in other events. So we will follow the same kind of practice as triathlon and Hyrox. So you will compete in your category. So say you're doing male individual compete, but you'll also then be competing against your age group. So you'll have 5-year age brackets. So we go 16 to 18, 18 to 24, and then from there it's 25 to 29, 30 to 34, 35 to
Okay.
39. So then across the course of the year, you're also competing within an age category as well. We just don't term that specifically like a masters division.
In previous interviews, and what I've seen online, you've always said there's going to be 10 events, and then just now you mentioned 11. Is that a new addition, the 11th event?
No, 11 has always been the plan for season
Okay.
one, 6 in America, 5 in Europe.
Is Hyrox bigger in the UK than in the United States?
No, the US overtook the UK last year, I think, for Hyrox. Yeah. So
Wow.
the US penetration of, I think it's really, so lots of people have said to me, like, oh, are you competing with Hyrox? Are you trying to take on Hyrox? Like, no. And I think it's almost such a reductive conversation when we go down the route of, oh, are you against XYZ? Hyrox sold out 8 days in New York, 40,000 participants
Incredible.
overnight. And then they opened another 2 days up and they also sold out immediately.
Wow.
If you tell me that people don't want competition, like, and that there's a limited space that we have to all fight over, I think that you're probably blind to the overwhelming demand for these in-person experiences that's only accelerating.
Right. Right. And there are, on the website, there's 4 locations: Dallas, London, Paris, Miami. Are those the only 4 cities that have been revealed so far?
Yeah. So we'll continue to reveal cities now over the course of the next like month or so, but we'll come out with the full season pretty quickly.
And I think you guys are coming out huge, right? Like 11 seems massive. Why not 2 or 4 the first year?
Um, so Jeff, who's one of our investors, always talks about swinging big,
Yeah,
and I
and
think
he has. If you don't know who that guy is, then you've been living under a rock.
yeah, and I think that I understand people say, oh, that's a huge task you're taking on. Why are you going so big so early? When we were doing Hyrox, when we were involved in creating a demand for 1.8 million people to take part in the event, we went from a standing start, like nobody. When I first introduced Hyrox and I was trying to convince people it was interesting, people were saying, no one is ever going to want to run 8 kilometers and do 8 workouts. Like, that's just stupid. So we created that demand from scratch in like 6 years. There are already 4 million people doing CrossFit. I don't
Mm,
have to go and create this demand. Like,
mm.
you are all out there. You might not know it yet, but you're all the target market. And like, when you look at it like that, it's an asymmetric bet. It's an asymmetric bet to say, okay, I want to put 10 events on for 4 million people and I can only get 2,000 people into each event.
All right.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay, maybe that's where my wires got crossed. Thank you, Steve. 10 workouts per event, 11 events in the year. Um, Tell me about your relationship with CrossFit. I thought it was very wise. It seems like you've built a strong relationship with them already, and that seemed like that was really smart.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go and meet the guys a little bit later as well. They're obviously all here for the open announcement yesterday. So, like I said, when we were thinking about how to launch and how to come into the space, there are a few people that are obvious that you want to be aligned to and that you want to be a good neighbor to. Rogue was first on the list. Like, I knew from the very start that we wanted Bill and Katie on board, and we wanted them to be able to help guide us as we entered into the space. And then yeah, we went to CrossFit. We said, hey, we're going to run this competition. We think it's going to be really good for you. We think it's going to be really good for affiliates. We think it's going to give people a reason to train the methodology. So we'd love to get a partner. We'd love to get a partner license. So they created this partner event series designation, which is a new designation, which means that every single one of our events is covered. And Yeah, I mean, I've had a good experience with Dave, with Dali, in the course of putting this together, and super excited for that partnership and to be able to work with them moving forward.
With there's always been a concern amongst event organizers of events stepping on other events, and I guess because you're doing 11 events in a year, that's not even something that you can really consider, right? You have to. I mean, you have to. You're just laying it out. Hey, here's our calendar.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that what we're doing is different. I don't think that there is anyone else, and I genuinely don't think that we're competing against anyone in the space. I think that we've always talked over the last few years, and from a Hyrox perspective, we talked about it very early on, is that the rising tide lifts all ships. Our collective focus, I think, as an ecosystem, should be getting the maximum number of people competing and experiencing the transformational power of training and competition. And I think that the more people that you get doing that, the better it is for everyone. So if I can convince more and more people to do my event, that'll trickle over to Wodapalooza. That'll trickle over to the Down Under Championships. That'll trickle over to everyone else, because you're increasing the global population of people. We used to have 400,000 people do the Open. Like, let's get back there. And what you need for that is you need a general culture of, okay, I am interested in competing.
How did you come up with this name, Xenom?
That's definitely the question I've been asked the most. I wish that there was a really cool story to it. I wish that there was something really, really exotic. There's really not. When you name something like this, you go through a process. I won't explain all of the ins and outs, and maybe I'll save that until we can see if we're a huge success down the line. Then I'll reveal the full secret. But it's genuinely not nothing that interesting. X obviously references the 10 events with the decathlon of fitness. There's an X. Yeah.
Because it reminds me of like someone's name, like from a 1960s Star Trek episode or like a 1970s, Tron movie, Xenom. And then the
Yeah.
website kind of has that Tron. I don't know if you remember Tron, if you're old enough, but that Tron, the
Yeah,
old
yeah, yeah.
Tron, yeah, the Tron video game.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We wanted to make something that was different, that wasn't standard to the space, that people would look at and be like, oh, that's obviously what this thing is. Our perspective is we have to go and build something that is completely unique, that offers a completely new level of, when you come to this event, we will look after you in a way that no competition has done before. The level of production, the level of how we, from athlete recovery to nutrition to hydration to just the standard of production inside the venue. I think that we have to go and create a new standard for what competitions in the CrossFit space can be. And I think there's almost not pride, but it's like showing people that the global CrossFit community deserves a competition of this caliber. Like, other sports get it, other populations of people get it, and we deserve it as well. And that population, that global population of people that want to compete, they absolutely deserve something at this scale.
And it's $500 to enter, right?
Yeah,
And what I'm
$500
hearing
or $450 for pairs, so $900 for a pair.
and so what I'm hearing you say is that part of that cost is you guys are putting a premium on user experience. Like you want people like you're not I paid $60 to run behind at the local 5K, and I ran through a high school past the dumpster. You know what I mean? Up past the recycling bins. You are offering not just a place where you've brought the weights and the track. You're offering some sort, like, hey, come see this. This is going to be more than just 10 events for you. This is going to be an experience.
Yeah, 100%. We carry on talking about a CrossFit Games level experience for the everyday person, but I think that probably doesn't fully encapsulate it. This has, the premium here is we go and create something that the person that comes and competes in it remembers forever. If you look at, so if Hyrox is the marathon of fitness, then Xenom is the Ironman of fitness. And that Ironman psychology of the person who comes and does it, and how much it matters to them and how much it becomes a part of their personality, that is exactly what we're looking for. And I think that when you do something like that, you have to match the intensity and the passion of the way that the people train for it with the standard of the product that you produce for them. And that's the only way that you can do it in a way that makes it worth it and makes it meaningful for that person. Like people get the Iron Man tattoo. I'm 100% confident people will get the Xenon tattoo.
Wow. That's the gold standard. Hey, when I think of Hyrox, I think of Hunter McIntyre. Like, I don't know if I would know about Hyrox if it wasn't for Hunter, or at least not as quickly as I do. Great character, out there, working hard, gregarious.
Yeah.
Do you expect that? It's Xenom too? Like, like the early adopters of TikTok, their accounts skyrocketed, right? I wonder if that's going to happen in Xenom too. I wonder if there's someone who's going to look at it and be like, okay, that's going to be mine.
Yeah.
And they're going to show up, and they're going to, for the first couple of years, they're just going to just ass pound people, which would be cool. You know what I mean?
Look, there'll be an incentive. There will 100% be an incentive for the best in the world to come to one of these 11 events and put in an incredible score. We'll go into the full details of how we create that incentivization. But I think that I've spoken to lots of the athlete managers over the course of the last few weeks. It's been a pretty insane last few weeks. I think that there's probably some that I still need to talk to. But yeah, I think we will 100% have people that look at this and say, okay, I actually like the fact that I know what I need to get better at. There's a scoring system. So we use this elite performance index scoring system, which is similar to the decathlon scoring system, where essentially for every rep or second, so whether it's rep based or whether it's time denominated, you get points assigned per second or per rep, with the score weighted, so that 1,000 points would be the score that we would expect from the most exceptional CrossFitter. That's not necessarily to say the most exceptional human possible score, because we're not going to weight the snatch based on what an Olympic, like a gold medal Olympian would get. So that then you get these 10,000 points, this theoretical kind of 10,000 point score over the course of a weekend, but you can score more than that. So you could come in, you're an amazing Olympic athlete. You could come in, get 1,100 points on the snatch, get 200 points on the run and ski, but just be happy that you crushed it on the snatch, knowing that you've got no chance of winning the whole thing. And I think that when you then set like this really definable, understandable system of sport that then lets people really focus on, okay, how am I going to really get better at this? How am I going to improve at these disciplines? There are going to be some professionals, there are going to be some athletes who look at that and say, okay, that's super cool, and that's what I want to focus on. At the same time, I don't think it's ever going to take away from people wanting to go and do the CrossFit Games or Dubai or whatever the other options are.
Will the events be streamed?
So so streaming is incredibly complicated. You did media at the Games, and I've always looked at the media at the Games and thought that is I can't think of a more complicated sporting product to set up filming for. Like at Hyrox, they've spent the last 5 years filming the same race over and over and over again and learning, okay, these are the angles, these are the shots, this is when you cut to broadcast, this is when you cut to ad, this is how you create the graphics. I've always looked at the Games and thought you have to create that from scratch every year based on whatever events are being made. It seems like such a logistical challenge. So we're looking at the moment at all of the options around that. We're speaking with quite a few different people about how you create media product around this. Obviously, we have some fantastic media experience from Jeff and from his experience at Disney. So we will look at the live streaming options, but we will also be producing a lot of content across the board. And I think that in the modern era of business, obviously content is king. So yeah, you can expect quite a lot coming out from us over the course of the next few months.
Yeah, that hasn't changed in 20 years. Content is king. Keith, thank you so much for your time this morning. I would love to have you back on. I feel like there's 100 more questions I have. And I'm really excited. Launches in June. Tickets go on sale in 4 hours.
4 hours, yeah. If you want to sign up, you can still get on. You can get into the ballot. We'll award those tickets out, this afternoon, and then tickets are open. We'll see what the market thinks.
Awesome. Hey, I'm very excited for you. Thank you for supercharging the environment. It gives me great solace knowing that you're a CrossFitter through and through. That's awesome.
I'm glad. Thank you so much for having me on. I hope that the microphone was okay as well, and
it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, and hopefully I'll talk to you a lot. I'd like to talk to you again before June, find out how ticket sales are, find out more about the streaming, and then I'd love to have you back on right after the first event, and we can do your after action report right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me, Salam. Really appreciate it, and thanks to everyone that listened. Cheers, guys.
Enjoy Miami. Don't do drugs. That era's over. No cocaine in Miami. Fentanyl everywhere. Be careful.
Coffee. Got it.
Okay. All right, brother. Thank you.
Cheers, buddy. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Keith Barlow. All right. 2 thumbs up so far. Okay, guys. I will see you on the other stream now.